All right, so today I want to talk to you about how to create new habits, and so the behaviors that you're incorporating as you put in new eating lifestyles and exercise can become part of your everyday life, a habit, more or less. A habit basically like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. It's something that you do every single day and, without much effort. So right now in the beginning, I know that this feels like it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort, and that's because it's all new. If you remember the first time that you learned to drive, you basically get in your car and there's all these different gears and all these different things that you're supposed to do. And that's kind of where you are right now, where it takes conscious effort and it feels almost uncomfortable or a little bit painful. And so what we want to do is get this to the point where it's, it's effortless and you don't even have to think about, which I'm telling you, it can happen and will happen as you continue to make progress in these directions. So how do you create that habit to begin with? Well, first you have to understand how a habit is made. How did you learn how to drive? Well, what happens is the first time that you learn to do something, there's a series of events that goes on in your brain, and it basically, for lack of, time and to make it understandable, there's like a line that's drawn and says, well, the first thing that I do is this, and then the second thing I do is this. Just like with driving your car, I turn on the keys and then I put it in gear and then I step on the accelerator and I go. And so your brain basically connects step after step after step after step. And so, the more often that you repeat that, the more that you do that every single day, the more familiar your brain becomes with all of those different steps, and still it becomes ingrained. Now you don't even have to think about it, right? You just get in, you turn the keys on, and away you go. There's not that conscious effort. Well, the same thing goes as you're putting in a new eating plan, and that's why I say the more you practice, the more you get yourself on course, and every time you get off, you just put yourself right back on there. The more lines your brain is associating this behavior to this behavior, and it's becoming more and more familiar. And so the more strands or the more lines that you have there, the easier that it's going to be, and the more effortlessly it's going to become. The same thing with working out. A lot of times with people that are just starting to incorporate exercise into their lifestyle, they say, it's so hard and I have to make time for it and I don't have it on my schedule. And then there's days that I just don't really feel like it. And my advice to them is go through the movements anyway, because what we're doing is basically trying to build those strands, trying to make them thicker and more, there's more and more of them there so that it becomes effortless. So if you, for example, first, starting to work out, if the first thing you need to do is get it on your schedule, the second thing that you need to do is go through the motions, even if it's just getting yourself to the gym, getting your clothes on. Say, for example, you don't feel very good and you just want to do it halfway. That's great. As long as you're still going through the motions, you're creating a new habit. And the more often that you do that, the more consistent that you become, again, the more familiar it will become in your brain, and eventually the more effortless it will become for you. And that's how you're going to replace the old habits with new ones.